In 1970, Neville Goddard stood before an audience in Los Angeles and delivered what may be his most direct, most uncompromising statement on the nature of reality. He titled the lecture simply, "The One," not "The Law of One," not "Unity Consciousness," just "The One." And in it, he said something that should have shattered every occult system, every numerological chart, every spiritual hierarchy we've constructed between ourselves and God. He said, "There is only one being, and you are that being, looking out through all the seeming others." Now, if you've studied numerology, you know that the number one is called the beginning, the source, the initiator. It is leadership, pure potential, the unmanifest becoming manifest. It is the monad, the point before the line, God before creation. And here is what almost no one tells you. What Neville spent his entire life trying to make you see: you are not moving toward the one. You are not trying to align with it or channel it or become worthy of it. You cherish it. The number one is not a symbol of something distant. It is the truth of your own, I am. So why does numerology, as it's commonly taught, keep you searching outside yourself? Why does it place you on a ladder of numbers, cycles, and frequencies, as though the one were somewhere up ahead, waiting for you to evolve into it? And what did Neville actually say about this? Not what someone summarized, not what got filtered through the New Age marketplace, but what he actually taught. That's what we're here to explore, not to dismiss numerology, but to correct it, to return it to its true esoteric root, where the number one was never a stage in a sequence. It was the eternal fact, the single, irreducible truth beneath all apparent multiplicity. And the moment you realize that, the moment you stop seeking the one and start being it, everything changes. Welcome back to Neville Goddard Universe, where we explore the teachings of Neville Goddard, not as a closed system, but as a living river of truth that flows through the great mystical and esoteric traditions of the world. I'm honored you're here. Today, we're diving into one of the most misunderstood intersections in modern spirituality, Neville Goddard and numerology. The title of this episode is Deliberate. We're not here to tell you what numerology really means, according to someone's interpretation. We're here to go back to what Neville himself said, clearly, repeatedly, unambiguously, about the nature of the one, and to show you how that teaching maps directly onto the deepest esoteric meaning of the number one, the monad, the singular source from which all numbers arise. This is not about whether numerology works. It's about whether you understand what the number one actually is, and whether that understanding liberates you or keeps you in a seeking loop. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly what Neville meant when he said, God is one, and that one is your own wonderful human imagination. You'll see how that maps to the numerological principle of the monad. You'll understand the common misconception that blocks manifestation, and you'll have a practice you can use tonight to reclaim your identity as the one. And if this kind of exploration resonates with you, if you've been hungry for a voice that treats these teachings with intellectual care and spiritual depth, then I'd be grateful if you'd take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a simple gesture, but it tells me you're here for the real work, and that means everything. Let's begin. Neville's entire teaching can be distilled into a single sentence, and it's one he repeated in lecture after lecture, year after year, in language so plain that we often miss its radicalism. Consciousness is the only reality, and consciousness is God, and God is your own wonderful I am. Not God is your. Not God in shoe. Not God guiding you or empowering you or waiting for you to align with Him. God asks you. The very awareness with which you are reading these words right now, that silent, witnessing presence, that I am, which existed before you named yourself, before you took on a personality or a history or a role, that is God, is God. That is the one, and there is no other. In his 1970 lecture titled The One, Neville says this: "There is only one being. All that you behold, though it appears without, it is within, in your imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow." He goes on to say, "You and I, who seem to be separate, are one. We only seem to be separate because we occupy different bodies. But the being looking out through your eyes and the being looking out through mine is the same being." This is not a metaphor. This is not poetry. This is Neville's ontology, his description of what is. He is saying that the multiplicity you perceive, the billions of separate beings, the hierarchies, the angels and masters and guides, the levels and dimensions, all of it is an appearance within the One. And that One is Yua. Now, let's pause here and feel the weight of that. Because, if that is true, if there is only one consciousness, one being, one I am, then every spiritual system that places God outside you, above you, or ahead of you is fundamentally inverted. It may use the language of oneness, but it structurally reinforces separation. It says, yes, we are all one eventually, once you ascend, once you clear your karma, once you align with the divine frequency. And Neville says, no, you are the divine frequency. You are not becoming God. You are a God, imagining yourself into limitation so that you might awaken and discover who you have always been. This is what he means when he quotes scripture. Be still and know that I am God. Not know about God, not commune with God. Know that I am God. The I am in you is the God of all creation. And when Neville says God is one, he is not saying God is a single entity far away. He is saying God is the single consciousness expressing itself as all things, and the fullness of that consciousness is present in you, right now, as your own awareness of being. Let me give you a practical example to ground this, because Neville never left his teaching in the abstract. Imagine you want to manifest a specific outcome, a new home, let's say. The common approach, even among those who study manifestation, is to think, I need to align my energy with the energy of abundance. I need to raise my vibration so I can attract this home. I need to ask the universe, or source, or the divine to bring it to me. And beneath all of that is a silent assumption. There is a power outside me that I need to petition or harmonize with. Neville would call this idolatry. Because you have placed the power of creation outside yourself. You have taken the One, the I am, the consciousness that is God, and projected it outward as the universe, or source, or divine timing. And as long as you do that, you are praying to a false God. You are seeking from someone who does not exist. What Neville taught is this: go inward. Close your eyes. Assume the feeling of already living in that home. Feel the walls around you. Hear the sounds of your new environment. Touch the textures. Don't ask for it. Don't hope for it. Don't send your desire out into the universe and wait for it to respond. Instead, claim it. Be the one who already has it. Because the moment you assume that state in consciousness, you, as the One, have decreed it. And the outer world, which is nothing but your own consciousness pushed out, has no choice but to conform. This is the power of the One. Not the power you're trying to access. The power you are. Neville says in The Law and the Promise, the world is yourself pushed out. Ask yourself what you want, and then give it to yourself. Do not question how it will come about. Just go your way, knowing that the evidence of what you have done must appear, and it will. Notice the structure of that statement. He doesn't say, ask the universe and trust it will provide. He says, give it to yourself. Because you are the only one here. You are the One, imagining all of this into being. And here's the radical, liberating consequence of that teaching. If you are the One, then there is no one to convince, no higher power to appease, no karmic debt to pay off, no vibrational mismatch to correct. There is only you, in consciousness, assuming a state, And that assumption, persisted in, becomes your reality. Neville's teaching strips away every intermediary, every guru, every angel, every cosmic law that says you must do this before you can have that. He returns you to the singularity of your own, I am, and says, here, this is the power, this is the one, and you are it. But if that's true, then what is numerology really describing? And why does the number 1, in its deepest esoteric sense, point to exactly the same truth? Let's turn now to numerology, not as it's taught in popular astrology columns or personality quizzes, but as it was understood in the ancient mystery schools, in Pythagorean philosophy, in the Kabbalah, and in Hermetic doctrine. In these traditions, the number 1 is not simply the first number in a sequence. It is the monad, the indivisible unity, the single point from which all else emanates. The Pythagoreans called it the source of all numbers, because every other number is simply the 1 repeated or divided. 2 is 1 and 1. 3 is 1 and 1 and 1. All multiplicity is an illusion created by the repetition of the singular. In the Hermetic text known as the Kybalion, the first principle is this: the all is mind, the universe is mental. And what is the all? It is the one, the single, infinite intelligence from which all things arise. The text goes on to say that all apparent separation, all the seeming diversity of forms, beings, dimensions, exists within the mind of the all. Nothing is outside it. There is no other. Now listen to that principle again and tell me if it sounds familiar. The all is mind. The universe is mental. All things exist within the mind of the all. That is Hermeticism. And here is Neville. Consciousness is the only reality. All things exist within your own wonderful human imagination. The language is different. The context is different. But the teaching is identical. The Hermeticists called it the all. Neville called it I am. But both are pointing to the same truth. There is one consciousness, and that consciousness is you. In Kabbalistic numerology, the number 1 corresponds to Keter, the crown, the highest sephira on the tree of life. Keter is the point of pure unity, before differentiation, before creation, before the many emerge from the one. It is sometimes called Ayin, which means nothing, not because it is empty, but because it is so absolute, so unified, that no quality can be predicated of it. It simply is. And that is, Ness is the I am. Keter is not something you attain. It is what you are before you imagine yourself as anything else. It is your consciousness prior to identification. And the moment you realize that, the moment you stop thinking of yourself as a fragmented being seeking wholeness and recognize yourself as Keter, as the one, as the I am, you step into your creative power. Now, here's where we need to address the common misconception, because this is where modern numerology often goes astray, and it's the misconception Neville spent his life correcting. Most numerology systems treat the numbers as a sequence of spiritual development. 1 is the beginning, the initiation, the spark of individuality. 2 is partnership and duality. 3 is creativity and expression. And so on, up through 9, which is completion, spiritual mastery, the humanitarian. The implication is that you start at 1 and progress through the numbers, learning lessons, evolving, ascending. And that framework is seductive because it gives you a map. It tells you where you are and where you're going. It says, you're currently vibrating at a 3 energy, but if you do the work, you'll reach 9. But here's the problem. It places the 1 in the past. It makes the monad into a stage you've already left behind. And in doing so, it externalizes your power. It says, you were the source, but now you're on a journey back to it. And Neville would tell you that is the lie. That is the fall. That is the dream of separation. The truth is this: you are always the one. You have never stopped being the one. The multiplicity you experience, the journey, the lessons, the numbers, the cycles, all of that is the one, imagining itself as many. But the one is never lost. It is never in the past. It is the eternal present, the I am, the consciousness that is aware of all these apparent stages without ever being divided by them. Neville said it this way in a 1969 lecture. You are the one being, pretending to be many. And when you awaken, you will know that every seeming other was only you, pushed out. So the number one, in its true esoteric sense, is not the beginning of a sequence. It is the ground of all sequences. It is not a stage of development. It is the awareness within which all development appears. And when you realize that you are the one, not that you're trying to get back to oneness, but that you have never left it, then manifestation becomes simple, because you're no longer asking something outside you to respond. You're simply choosing, as the one, what you wish to experience. Let me say that again, because this is the payoff of the title, the core insight of this entire episode. The number one is not a destination. It is your identity. And the moment you stop seeking it and start assuming it, the entire game of manifestation changes. You are not raising your vibration to match the frequency of the one. You are the one, choosing which frequency to broadcast. Neville's teaching and the esoteric meaning of the number one converge at this exact point. Both say, there is a singular consciousness, and it is you. Both say, multiplicity is appearance, unity is reality. Both say, reclaim your identity as the one, and creation obeys you, because there is nothing outside you to resist. And both traditions warn against the same trap, the trap of believing the one is somewhere else. The Hermeticists called it ignorance of the all. The Kabbalists called it the illusion of separation from Keter. And Neville called it worshipping false gods, projecting your own I am outward and then begging it to save you. The correction is the same across all three systems, return to the one, not by effort, not by purification, but by recognition, by waking up to what you have always been. So how do you do that? How do you move from intellectual understanding to lived experience? How do you reclaim your identity as the one? Let me walk you through a practice Neville taught again and again, refined slightly to incorporate the numerological principle we've been exploring. This is something you can do tonight, before you sleep. It requires nothing but your attention and your willingness to assume what is true. First, find a quiet space. Sit or lie down comfortably, close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths, not to raise your vibration or clear your energy, but simply to bring your attention inward, away from the noise of the outer world. Now, here's the first step. Begin by silently affirming to yourself, I am, not I am something, not I am someone, just I am. Feel the presence of that awareness. That witnessing consciousness that is aware of your thoughts, your body, your surroundings. That is the one. That is the monad. That is the number one before it divides into 2, 3, 4, or any other multiplicity. Rest in that I am for a moment. Don't try to make it feel mystical or elevated. Just notice it. Notice that it's always here. It was here when you were a child. It will be here when your body is old. It is the constant, unchanging fact of your existence. Neville called it your own wonderful I am. The Hermeticists called it the all. The Kabbalists called it Keter. But in your direct experience, it is simply I am. Now, here's the second step. From that place of pure I am, without leaving it, add a single assumption. Choose something you desire. Don't choose a list. Choose one thing, one scene that implies your wish fulfilled. Let's say you want to manifest financial freedom. Don't imagine money coming to you. Imagine a scene that would only happen if you already had financial freedom. Maybe you're sitting across from your accountant, and they're saying, you're in excellent shape, no concerns. Maybe you're booking a trip without checking your bank balance. Maybe you're simply feeling the relief, the relaxed, grounded certainty that money is no longer an issue. Choose one scene. Make it simple, clear, sensory. And here's the critical part. Don't step outside the I am to imagine it. Stay as the one. Imagine it from the position of the one who is decreeing it, not hoping it will happen, not asking the universe to make it happen, but knowing, as the one, that it's happening, because you, in consciousness, have assumed it. Let the scene unfold, hear what you would hear. Feel what you would feel. Touch what you would touch. Make it vivid, but not through effort, through assumption. You're not conjuring an illusion. You're selecting, as the one, which aspect of your infinite potential you wish to experience. Now, here's the third step. And this is where Neville's method becomes precision itself. Loop that scene. Repeat it gently, like a lullaby, as you drift towards sleep. Don't let your mind wander to how it will happen, or when, or what if it doesn't. Those questions come from separation consciousness. They come from the belief that you're a fragment trying to influence something outside you. But you're not. You're the one, and the one does not question its own decrees. As you loop the scene, silently affirm, I am the one, this is done. Not as a mantra, not as a spell, but as a recognition of what is true. You are the single consciousness imagining all of this into being. And what you assume in consciousness must, by law, externalize. Do this every night until the feeling of the wish fulfilled is more natural to you than the feeling of lack. Until you can think of that desire without strain, without longing, because inwardly you already have it. That's when you know the assumption has hardened into fact. That's when you know the one has spoken. And here's the beautiful convergence. The numerologists would say, you're aligning with the frequency of the number one, pure potential, source energy, the power of initiation. And they'd be right if we correct their language. You're not aligning with it, you are-ess it. You're not channeling the monad. You are the monad, choosing which form to take. Neville would say, you're assuming the state of the wish fulfilled, and consciousness, which is the only reality, is conforming the outer world to match your inner assumption. Same truth, different vocabulary. And both would tell you this, the power is not in the scene you imagine. The power is in the fact that you, as the one, have imagined it. Because there is nothing outside the one to resist, delay, or deny it. Try it. Not as an experiment, but as a declaration of who you are. I am the one, and the one does not beg, the one does not wait. The one simply assumes, and the world obeys. So what does it mean that these two traditions, Neville's Christian mysticism and the ancient science of numerology, converge so precisely on this single point? It means something important, something we can't afford to ignore. It means that the teaching of the one is not cultural. It's not the product of a particular religion or era or philosophy. It's the bedrock insight of human consciousness itself. Everywhere, human beings have looked deeply into the nature of reality, whether through meditation, mystical experience, or intellectual rigor. They have arrived at the same place. There is one consciousness, one awareness, one being, and that being is not separate from you, it is you. The Hermeticists said it, the Kabbalists said it, Neville said it. The Upanishads say, Tativamasi, thou art that. The Gospel of John says, I and the Father are one. Eckhart said, the eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. Different languages, same truth. And here's why that matters for your life, right now, today, because it means the fragmentation you feel, the sense that you're small, limited, cut off from the source of power and abundance and love, is not a fact. It's a belief. It's a misidentification. It's the one imagining itself as less than the one, and then suffering from that imagination. But you can stop. You can wake up. Not someday, not after years of spiritual practice. Now. This moment. By recognizing what you already are. You are not a seeker on a path toward the one. You are the one, pretending to seek. And the moment you stop pretending, the moment you claim your identity as the single, eternal I am, everything you've been chasing stops running, because there's nowhere for it to run. There's only you, in consciousness, experiencing your own assumptions. This is what Neville meant when he said, "The world is yourself pushed out." It's not that there's a you in here and a world out there, and the world sometimes responds to you. It's that there is only one thing, consciousness. And consciousness is always externalizing its own inner states. What you assume inwardly, you must encounter outwardly, not because the universe is responding to you, but because the universe is you. And when you really get that, when you stop dividing yourself from the world and recognize that you are the one dreaming all of this into being, then the question changes. It's no longer, how do I get what I want? It's, what do I, as the one, choose to experience? That's freedom. That's power. That's the truth about numerology, and the number one that almost no one tells you. The one is not a symbol. It's not a concept. It's not a frequency you need to attune to. It's what you are. And every moment you spend seeking it outside yourself is a moment you deny your own divinity. So here we are, at the end of this exploration, and if you're still with me, then something in you already knows this is true. You felt it. Maybe not in words, but in those quiet moments when the chatter stops and there's just awareness, just presence, just the silent hum of I am. That's the one. That's who you are. And if this conversation has meant something to you, if it's opened a door or confirmed something you've long suspected, then I'd be grateful if you'd take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a small gesture, but it tells me you're here for the depth, for the real work, and that means more than you know. The number one is not waiting for you somewhere ahead. It's here, now, as the very consciousness with which you are hearing these words. You are not moving toward it. You are it. And the moment you assume that truth, the moment you stop seeking and start being, the entire world reshapes itself to match what you, as the one, have decreed. Tonight, before you sleep, let go of every name you've called yourself. Let go of every story about limitation, separation, or lack. Return to the simple, undeniable fact, I am. And from that place, assume the state of your wish fulfilled, not as someone small, trying to manifest, but as the one, selecting which dream to dream next. Because there is only one being here. And that being is you, looking out through all these seeming eyes, imagining all this multiplicity, so that you might one day remember, it was always me. It was always one. And in that remembering, you are free. Not free someday, free now, because the one has never been bound. The one simply forgot for a moment who it was. And you, right now, are the one remembering. Go forward as the one. Assume as the one. Live as the one. And watch the world, which has no choice, bend to match the majesty of your recognition. This is the truth about the number one. This is what Neville actually said. And this is who you have always been.